Hello and welcome back to Hillside Power Sport Repair, where today we take another one of these rusty metal nasty pieces of angle iron and we're going to add something different to it. Today we're adding muriatic acid, commonly used in pools and plumbing. We're going to see how it does against rusty metal. This is one of the regular glass containers that I have been using for all the other tests. I just washed it out the other day and got a little dust in it, so we pushed that out. And this is that same hunk of 1/4 inch angle I've been cutting pieces off of. It's nothing fancy. There's nothing really interesting going on here. Just putting muriatic acid on rusty metal. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting, but there was actually a little bit of smoke. You can just kind of see wisps of it. And the time lapse hasn't started yet, but I actually filmed this thing for like 4 hours in an effort to show how this is working. Because it was really interesting, and I was hoping it would be, and I was really kind of impressed with how it worked. So you're looking at it in real time here. It's got the wind blowing over it, just starting to kind of turn. You can see a dull haze kind of around the metal. A couple little specks starting to look like they're going to do something. This stuff is no joke. And when they say well-ventilated areas, people that talk about well-ventilated areas, they're talking about this stuff. And here we are with time lapse. You're really starting to see some action here. I mean, we got some serious color change. We got flecks of stuff coming off of it. The occasional bubble as the chemical reaction takes place. I mean, right out of the gate, this is doing some real work. And also, even though this is set outside in the driveway of the shop, the work that this is doing requires me to make sure that all the doors are open on the shop, so I'm not fumigated, because the fumes on this are no joke. And you can kind of see here, as I've walked from one end to the other, and the sun's kind of changed position, and the camera's trying to figure out what the lighting is. This stuff is really going after it. Still got a lot of bubbles coming up, and this is I don't know, 50 times speed or something like that. So yeah, it's not perfect as far as it's not really a spray on wipe off on the kind of rust that was on this. However, over the course of about 4 hours, it was a just set it in the tank and forget it operation. Pretty dang pleased with it. When I say pleased, I mean I'm pleased that I can see it doing something. At this point, we haven't pulled it out yet, but I can tell you that something interesting is happening, because I've got all this discoloration that looks a lot like rust. I've got all these flecks of metal and rust and nastiness that have, of their own accord, come off here. And you've watched it happen. You know, I'm not scrubbing it or sanding it or scouring it or anything of that nature. We did move at one point in time. We lost a little bit of footage here. The camera got too hot. It was in the sun and shut itself off. So we did move over into the shade here. Nothing else changed, just that. But it's still just flat cooking as far as a chemical reaction compared to anything else I've used yet. Really, I mean, you can notice on the edges of the steel where it's pulling there at the corners, it's just really attacking the rust. Really attacking it. Just very impressive to watch. And we've noticed the boiling, the release of chemicals. Again, this is not something you want to do in an enclosed shop. If you watch this and get the bright idea to play with it and then go do this in an enclosed shop, It is in no way, shape, or form my fault if you screw up and manage to fumigate yourself. That being said, I'm also under the impression that if you leave an open container of this stuff around, it will actually cause just like, humidity. It'll evaporate, and it will cause tools and bare metal to rust if it's left in an open facility. And that's part of the reason why I hesitated for so long to do this video. I wanted to see if I could find something that, just kind of spray it on, wipe it off, but maybe it was vinegar or something a little more gentle, something that I wouldn't be 100% afraid to get on my hands. But this stuff's nasty. And it's probably more scary the fact that it's like $8 for a gallon of it, and you can go to most of your home hardware stores and stuff, home improvement stores, and buy the stuff. We have just a little bit less than a minute left of the time lapse here, and you can see that this is still very much so attacking the properties of the metal. I kind of wonder how far it would go, but at this time it's still really breaking everything down. And I have to think that when we pull the metal, it will be in much, much better shape than the previous chemicals we have tried on this. I also want to take this opportunity to point out, if you have some sort of an open sore or cut on your hand, this is not the chemical to play with without gloves. Gloves that preferably don't have holes in them, rubber gloves, because it hurts a lot. For what it is, this stuff is just crazy powerful. Now here's the end of our time lapse. Just kind of just the same little rub I do with everything else, actually less than I did with like the toilet bowl cleaner and that kind of thing, just making sure nothing's stuck to it that is just kind of sitting there. But we want to have a look at, holy cow, look at that. That is by far the best piece that has come out of it. You can still see it's got some paint on the back of it, but even it's all crinkled up. Look at the metal. It's still wet, but just get an idea there of this piece looks like new, and it looks like crap before. That piece of metal looks better than it probably did when it arrived at the steel yard. I imagine it had mill scale on it, and when it arrived at the steel yard, it didn't look that good. So I'm going to pull the stool over here real quick and have one final gander at it. We're going to take some low pressure air and blow this thing dry to really get a good, truer color viewing of the steel. So just set it back in there so it couldn't air dry the acid on it. Now this is something, if you were doing a part for a customer or something, you were planning on doing a restoration on something, you would want to look into like some baking soda water to neutralize the acid. Because I've heard that this stuff will continue to eat, and I know that it will cause rust if left to dry on a metal surface. That's why I use that old set of wire cutters instead of using a good pair of snap-on pliers to get it out. This stuff is nasty, nasty, nasty. We'll get the air hose here. Actually bought that thing on Amazon, been really happy with it. Just real gentle, blowing all of the acid off of this piece. Just want to make sure that it's kind of out all the pores, and short of heating it up, this is about the best we're going to get for the time being. I'm not ready to heat up the part, but I am in a position where I want to know that it's clean and relatively dry. So if I do touch it with my hands and were to say bring the piece of steel up to the camera, I wouldn't have an issue with it having a whole bunch of liquid on my hands or even droplets of liquid on my hands. It is that nasty. So again, go through, blow it off. Move the camera over. You can kind of see right now that it's just kind of an even gray, and I've got the flash on the camera, just try and get all the light we can get in here, but that is amazing. That took off years and years and years of rust. Very happy with this. So thanks for watching us as we perform more tomfoolery. And please feel free to use our affiliate links and help us move forward and buy our merch. And we appreciate all of your support. Have a great day.